Welcome to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. Each show will be filled with news, interviews, technology, and reviews all about you, the writer. And now here's our host, H.D. Campbell. Welcome to a special edition of Love here at the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. And as always, I'm your host, H.D. Campbell. On today's show, I have two very sensual poets who love their craft and two ladies who love to have a good time. But first, let me offer a quick update. My newest book, Geraldine, the sequel to How to Lose a Black Woman, will be out here in a few weeks. Stay tuned to my website at www.hdcampbell3.net for details. Also, later in the show, I will be announcing guests for one of my many other special shows I will be airing this year. But finally, back to the subject. This is the Love Show, so I will be back shortly with our first author. When the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell returns, we'll start things off with the conclusion of our chat with the poetic unsub, G.P.A. Then, we'll continue the sensuality with poet Kottyn. Then, we'll laugh with the host of the KS Show, Sunsmile and Nicole. Stay tuned. So you believe the Bruce Williams story concluded in How to Lose a Black Woman? Well, Bruce Williams begs to differ. Find out what's been going on with Bruce Williams in the sequel titled Geraldine, coming soon. Have you checked out the new H.D. Campbell Productions website lately? It has new interactive features. More information on books, services, shows, and more. Check out videos, slideshows, and more at www.hdcampbell3.net. And as always, let your writing fuel. Welcome back to the Love Fest that I like to call the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. We'll kick off the show with the conclusion of my interview with the poetic unsub, G.P.A. Ladies, I promise you won't be disappointed. We'll continue talking about his career as promised and his connection with America's Got Talent. So ladies, here is the poetic unsub, G.P.A. See, I love that. The one thing I do like about you, you were very humbled, and you talk about. I'm serious. You just ran down a stack of what you did, and you just played it off like it's no big deal. You know what I mean? That's how you did it.
Somebody's gonna hear this and say, "What? Did you call G.P.A. humble?"
I'm sorry. The way you ran down that list, you played it off like it was no big deal, and it is a very big deal. So,
HD, I just gotta be real honest with you. This is just what you're supposed to do. Once you get in the lane, you figure out who you are, what you can do. You're supposed to do that to the best of your ability and as much as you can, because that brings you some solace, some happiness. So I try to make myself involved in poetry, whether it be interviews, whether it be performing, whether it's the videos I make handmade myself or what have you. I try to keep that because that makes me happy. That puts a smile on my face. So I try to definitely do that. And you do a bunch of stuff and you just do it. And then there's some things probably I could have mentioned that I didn't think to mention because I didn't think to mention it. Like, so you just go. That's it.
Look, I truly understand. Well, this goes into my next question. Out of everything you've done, you also contributed to a few anthologies. Can you tell me some of the anthologies you've been in?
No problem. Sure. I've been a part of what is called Voices Behind the Tears. It was a domestic violence anthology that I was very proud to be involved in. I wrote a couple of poems, and as I told people, it was very close to me because I had been involved in a situation, a relationship that was very volatile. And so the essence of that was involved. So I was able to see it. I've seen it. And then, unfortunately, I was a part of it. I was in the midst of. So it was like, it was really emotional for me to be a part of that. You know, it was like a cleansing. It was like, wow, it was just really, because I'm totally against that. I think that's abhorrent. But also, I was the featured poet in Chocolate Rose 1 and 2. Chocolate Rose 3 is coming up, and those were erotic anthologies headed up by a good buddy of mine, Charles Burgess, out of Milwaukee. And that's coming up, so I contributed to those. I'm going to lose myself in because there's another anthology. I can't remember this, but I can tell you who was in charge of it. It was Katrina Girl, that's her name on Facebook, and Nita B. She's out of Detroit. Nita B's out of Detroit. Katrina's out of California. And they had an anthology. It was Naughty Ink Press, something like that. It just eludes me at the moment, but I contributed some poems to that as well. I'm also working with Andriana Williams. She has a anthology, erotic anthology. And as much as I'm trying to get away from erotic stuff, here I am. Every time I try to step away from it, it pulls me
right back in, right?
Wow. But my brother told me something very interesting about that. He says, if you can do something really well and you show proficiency, there's nothing wrong with it. Forget what somebody says. There's nothing wrong with it. So if you can do this, or you write love poetry, or whatever it is you do, you don't have to prove anything except the fact to yourself that, hey, I know I can do this, and leave it at that.
Absolutely.
So with that, I just, hey, if people see that and they go for it, and that's cool, but I know I can do. Bully is a prime example of not being able to do anything else other than erotica. So that's pretty cool. That's been pretty cool. There are a couple other anthologies here. The lady, she runs an open mic. Her name is Janet Kuipers. I've performed with her. She's going to be a feature. She had a couple. It's called CTC, Children, Church, and I want to say Charities. This was the name of one of the anthologies. And she had a poem of mine called The Helicopter. And it was just the story of how the helicopter flies over urban neighborhoods when someone has gotten killed. And how the cops really, they're not really trying to solve the case. They just want the case closed, which is two different things. So and it was done in the form of a villanelle. So I've been in a few things here and there. I got to get the writing credits up. That's the whole thing with that. I try to explain to people sometimes, besides your own book, get your writing credits up. Contribute. Even if someone says, hey, pay this amount to be in the book, guess what? You're in the book. You can sell the book yourself or however you want to do it, but you're in the book. It's something else you can list up on your biography. Like, hey, I did this. I did this here. I was here. And now there's more points of reference than anything else. So that's my machination behind that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, here's my next question. I'm going to ask you, well, I know we touched on this last time, but for new fans or those that don't know you, what got you into writing and who or what inspired you?
I've always wrote, whether it had been what I thought was poetry or short stories of some sort, because it just seemed to go, and it was my way of escape besides reading. Because at first I wasn't a big reader until I didn't do well in 6th grade. My dad gave me this book, and I realized years later it was a Norton anthology of literature. But he gave me this book. He told me to read Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Cyrano de Bergerac, The Birthmark, Moby Dick. They were all in this book.
Oh, you had all the classics there. Those were all the good classics, too.
Oh, my goodness. And I'm sitting here and I'm reading, and I was lost in the book, especially Cyrano de Bergerac really touched me about the guy that knows him writing poetry. I was like, wow. And I would read some of the things he wrote. I was like, wow. Because, I came up when it wasn't cool to be dark skinned. So, I was like, wow, I can sort of identify. So, I started always just writing simple stuff, everything that rhymes and what have you. And then, as a lot of people know or may not know, I was incarcerated in 2007 for tax fraud. And I was sitting, getting ready to come home, and I said, I need to do something. And so I had wrote a couple of poems for guys, and then it spread. Guys were coming up left and right, whether it was for a holiday or something, or somebody, they would ask me to write for wives, girlfriends, mothers, children. They would ask me to write a poem. I said, you're doing all this, and they would pay me. I said, dude, you need to write a book. And so I set myself a deadline. I read that you're supposed to set a deadline for when you start a book and you're supposed to end it, and you go in different phases. So my first phase was to get the manuscript actually done. And I said 30 days. From the day I started, 30 days, and I finished in 30 days. I stayed there before, but I was in the prison library every day, typing twice a day. And on weekends, I was in there, and, just typing away, and that was the confessional heart of a man. So then I had a buddy, rest in peace. His name is Elwood Peagle. He said to me, he called me by my name. He called me by my real name, which you didn't really do behind the fence. Mm-hmm. I had another nickname. It was called Franchise, which I had before. That's a long story. But he called me by my name. And he says, Mark. That's what he said. He said, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a damn fool and not get out of here and do this. He says, you have a gift. God meant for you to write. He said, you can write really well. He said, I'm not telling you this because I'm your friend. He said, I'm telling you, these dudes wouldn't be coming in here asking you to write for them if they didn't. He said, you gotta remember, these are criminals and what have you. And they're coming to you asking you to write stuff for them. He said, man, get out here and do it. He said, the internet and everything, because I had a bunch of rejection letters that I wrote after queries. And he said, man, forget this in here. Don't sweat that. The internet has such and such, such and such. You can go all on it and find people who will probably publish. You can publish yourself, do it. And that stuck with me. And it was unfortunate that he was killed before my first book came out, The Confessional Heart of a Man came out. And so I mentioned him in there. Well, I didn't mention him in there. I mentioned him. I dedicated my second book to him, the book of 24 Orgasms, because, he was part of the reason he told me to do it. He told me to just go ahead and do it. So I just do it. But that's what got me going and focused. And ever since I saw how well the first book did, I never thought there was really going to be another book after that. I told my mom that the other day. I said, I'm on my fourth book. I never thought that. I never saw myself going on TV or radio. I never saw any of this. I just wanted to write my book. And now my whole aspiration is different. I want to be the greatest poet ever, of all time. So that's why I am. But in answer to your question, that's what got me started writing. That's focused. Because I was just dabbling before. I was dating poetry before. And now we're in a serious monogamous relationship.
Okay. Well, before I go into the next question, I just want to say this. Now you've answered my ultimate question about you. What made you you? Life made you you. Other people made you you. All you're doing is just paying it forward. I love that. So.
Oh, people, HD. There are a team of people who root for me, and not root for me the way. And no diss to fans, but fans can. I've seen that. I went through a little drama of my own. People can turn real quick. Mm-hmm. And when you're hot or whatever they perceive hot is, or you're shining really large, like you go through shining, you fall down, and then you start shining again. People want to come back around or whatever. But I'm talking about people who, no matter what, they're with you. I've got some great people who are with me who, when I was away behind the fence, they believed, they kept my head up. And then when I was starting, when I didn't have money and I needed to get somewhere to perform or something, and they looked out for me because they believe. So I look at it like that, and I like owing that, because that means that there are no days off for me. There's no, once I get a chance to stand in front of my perform, they're gonna get everything from me that they're supposed to get. I'm not gonna give half-ass performances. I'm not gonna. That's not who I am. You won't get a crappy book from me because someone may not like it, and that's fine, but they won't be able to say too much bad about it. But I just gotta go, because I want the people who believed in me, believed believe, in me present tense, to know that their faith wasn't wasted. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of just go.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Like I said, this whole time, man. You don't. Well, here's the thing. I don't think bad books are in you anyway. So also on that note, I'm just gonna go ahead and change subject because you do everything I see you do as far as positive, and you know who your friends are, and they know who you are. So
Yeah,
that's you know.
that's a good. Thank you. Yeah.
So you're good with us. I'd say it like that. But now I'm going to change the subject, and I'm going to really get you. I'm really going to put you on the spot right now.
Sure.
You have a tongue that makes women melt. I'm sorry, but you do. I'm kind of jealous, but you have a tongue that makes women melt. Tell me about the words that grant G.P.A. the power to do so.
Well, it's like the guy said in Revenge of the Nerds. When jocks were being jocks, they thought about athletics and points scored and touchdowns. When nerds were being nerds, they thought about girls and women. So when you look around, and poetry to me isn't, sure it can express anger, sure it can be conscious, sure, when done in the right way. But poetry, in my estimation, originally was the conversation of a gentleman to a lady he favored. So I try to write that way, and I look around a lot of times, and you've seen it. We had these conversations daily between men and women, especially in our ethnic group, where women are really upset with men, brothers. They are really upset. So I just feel as though, like when I wrote the book of 24 Orgasms, sure it comes under the erotica genre. Sure it's sensual, but it's not offensive. It's not vulgar. They hear enough of that. In my estimation, they hear enough of, I want to hear enough of that.
Absolutely.
You needed something else. So I just try to write of how, if I was a woman, if I was a lady, how I would want someone to talk to me. Because you need that. I mean, without women, we can't work. We can't. We can sit as strong as we are, and I consider myself a capable guy. I'm going to stand now. It's kind of warm here in Chi-Town, so I'm going to sit on the porch. I consider myself a capable guy of above average intelligence and so on and so forth. But need somebody when you're at the end of the grind who you can bounce stuff off of or take you away from what you've been going through. Need that. So I try to write according to what I would want to be in. Because as you and I discussed on Facebook one time, I was in a place where I wasn't supposed to be. And I stayed too long. I'm not ashamed to say that. I've been made to say that public. I stayed too long.
I remember.
And it adversely, affected me. That doesn't sway me from knowing that I want to be with someone. So I try to talk to. I love beautiful women, man.
Who don't?
I do.
I understand, truly.
And I like to talk to them. And now poetry gives me an opportunity too. And I think this is a more direct answer to your question. It affords me an opportunity to do what I couldn't do when I was younger, or just being my regular self. It allows me to talk to them, and it brings them into me. Now they want to know what's going on with me. They want to know where I'm going to appear. They want to know what's going on next. They want to read. Even if they don't read, even if they read something and don't comment and like, I know they read. I know they read, but they'll make some comment days, weeks, months later on about something. I know they read, they heard, they listened, they watched. So it's just a matter of a feel good. If they feel good about something I said or wrote, then I feel good. And I just think as a man, you should try to conduct yourself that way towards ladies, And I just have to be gifted enough to do that, to convey that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm 100% in agreement with you as far as that. You know me, we've had conversations on Facebook and places before about how we should treat our own black women, or how we should treat our women in general. And So like I say, you got a kindred spirit here. So so that's not a problem.
No doubt.
All right. My next question is, you're founding. You're one. You're one of the founding. You're a founding member of the League of Extraordinary Poets. Tell me about that.
Well, it's no longer functioning. How do I best put this? When I went through some things, personal, a lot of people saw fit to leave, as opposed to, and I'm gonna be very candid, as opposed to when I formed the League of Extraordinary Poets, I did it for this purpose: spoken word, poetry slash spoken word. No, poetry and spoken word, because they're not the same thing. Poetry and spoken word here in my city, it's just like my city is segregated. It's very cliquish.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in with my first book, I said, you know what? I don't want to. I tried going somewhere before I was even ever G.P.A. I just loved poetry, loved writing. I went, and I was the only poet in a bunch of spoken word artists, and I felt really bad reading my poetry because everybody was, doing the gymnastics, the verbal gymnastics and what have you. I was like, whoa, I don't do that. I
You
even
just do
tried
the
it.
spoken word, right?
People, I even tried that. When I first started it, that's why I tell people I kind of sucked in 2009 performing, because I tried it. I tried cursing a little bit in my pieces. Those were pieces. Those weren't poems.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that, and I said, you know what? This doesn't feel right. I tried a lot of screaming. I said, this is like buffoonery. And I'm not saying spoken word is buffoonery. Some of it is, but that's what I was doing. So I said, no, I'm not. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and do what I feel comfortable doing. And if people don't like it, I don't care. I'm just going to go with that. But when I formed LOEP, I said, let me bring people in who want to rhyme. Now, most of these people, I'd never seen them rhyme before, which was my error, because I had never done anything. I went off word of mouth. I went off people's words that they could do such and such. And, there were some people, they weren't energetic. There were some who were, and some who weren't. It wasn't their thing. They weren't passionate about coming somewhere and going to perform. I put together a tour in our city, different bars. I mean, this was just something to get yourself seen. And I didn't have the scope. I didn't have the full scope of what it was going to go. I knew we put together a book, maybe make some CD or something. I had that idea, but not really. And it was just like, hey, let's get together, let's keep doing this, and then somebody it'll catch on. And it would have down to three guys, and the guy, he got disgruntled. He thought he was so on and so forth. But the whole premise was to work together like a justice league, a poetic justice league, of these all-star poets and what have you. And it lasted for a couple of years. It did. I will say that. Started in 2009, lasted to about 2011 when I went through some things. And people just kind of went their own ways and figured that I was done.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
They figured I was done. And, the premise was good. The T-shirts were great. The times in between were pretty good. I can look back and see some videos, pictures, and I can finally remember some great times. It ran its course, unfortunately, a short course. So now it's Team G.P.A, not just, but it's Team G.P.A. It couldn't be better.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it went down, it's not from lack of your efforts. I mean,
I'll agree with you on that. No, not at all. My mother said the same thing. She said, you promoted everything that you think of doing for a group of individuals, and your part and everybody else's part, I did. Because I wanted it to work. It was my baby. I wanted it to work. I felt good about it. It felt good to be a part of something for a while. So,
I mean, the best intended efforts, my friend.
No doubt.
All right. Well, I tell you what. That leads into my next question, because whatever they did or whatever they thought they were doing, it didn't get into some of your accomplishments. So I'm going to put you on the spot again. What are some of the awards you won?
In 2010, I won the Poetry Pentathlon, which I'm the only black guy to ever do it.
Cool.
I mean, there's only been 4. This year will be the 5th one. There's only been 4. One person has won it twice. I've won it once, and another gentleman has won it once. And I finished 3rd last year, which I was robbed. I'm not even ashamed to say. I won 3 out of the 5 rounds. My scores were the highest. If you really think about that, in a best of 5 series, in any sport, you win 3 out of 5, you win the series.
Well, yeah.
If I win 3 out of 5 rounds, you would think I'm the champ. But
right.
somehow or another, it didn't work out like that. So, but I finished 3rd or tied for 2nd or whatever they said.
But still, though, you got robbed, though. I mean, let's just be real.
I mean, I'm not, and there's some people who were there who would be like, whoa, hold on. And they don't even look like us. And they'll tell you, hey, you didn't get beat. Something didn't go right. They'll tell you.
Absolutely.
But that's that there. So I won that. I won the Mall Storytellers Slam, which I alluded to previously. I'm currently competing in. I'm waiting to go to the next round when they tell me I'm supposed to go for America's Got Talent. Recently auditioned for that. Got past
I saw that.
The 1st round.
Right. I saw that. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And so I think that might be. Shocking. This was HD. This is shocking. What happened? And I don't know if this is a award or what have you, but it really meant a lot to me. And they probably have no clue how much this means. UBAWA, Urban. I always screw this up. Bestsellers, but you know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
My book, The Book of 24 Orgasms, landed number 2 on the top 25 list last year.
Oh
and I'm
my
looking
God.
around, and my book was the only book of poetry on the list. And I'm looking at some of the people who were writers on the list, and I'm like, wow, I jumped over that person with this book.
Right.
A book of a writer. I mean, to see it, I saw it on January 1st. I was looking, and I said, you know what? If one of my books winds up on the list, it'll be from. I said this because it's a book of poetry, not because of my talent or whatever how it was written. I said because it's a book of poetry. I said, well, if it doesn't wind up between 25 and 15, I'm not really gonna trip. So they went through 25 to 20. I didn't see myself. I said, wow, I must have did really well. I went from 19 to 15. I said, oh my goodness. It went from 10, and then it went to 5, and then a lady I met, Pink, and I can't remember her real name. It's Marissa something. I know it starts with an M.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of her name either, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Tall, light-skinned, voluptuous lady. Oh man, she was just so great to meet in St. Louis when I was there last year. Oh my goodness, she bought my book. She bought the book of 24 Orgasms. By the way,
I'm loving that.
I was in front of her. I was like, wow. I mean, I was like, I'm sitting here, and me and my mom, who's like, there's no money, there's no award, anything, but the fact that this book jumped over all these other books, like, wow, like, so that was really something I was really proud of, as far as writing accomplishments and all that. So that was really kind of cool, that my book was able to do that. So, yeah.
But again, being the person you are, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I always get reminded to say this. The 2011, I won a Black Essence Award for poetry and charity. So I'm always told, mention that. You gotta mention that. So I'm mentioning it. I apologize for cutting you off. I didn't mean to.
Oh, you were just fine, my brother. No, this is what this interview is for. This isn't really an interview. This is more like a conversation. So it is just fine. But I was just gonna say, being the person you are. Again, I can see the shock of not knowing that your talents move the way they do. So, like I say, everything you do is going to be great, simply because your attitude is great.
Thank you.
No problem. You did it all. That's you and God. Y'all did all that.
All day.
Exactly.
All day.
So.
All day. Oh man. Well, okay. You've been saying you don't put me on the spot. You really haven't put me on the spot too bad. This is pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, I'm trying not. I'm trying my best not.
I mean, a great question. I mean, man, listen, I've been put, man, listen, oh my God. You know, I've been having some wild stuff usually about my relationship status and all that. I'm like, oh, that made me even write a poem about it one time. I was like, okay, let me just answer this like this. But no, this is cool. But I don't expect anything outlandish from you anyway. So that's why I was looking so forward to it, my brother. So, that's what's cool. Ask away.
Well, just know that with this and in future interviews, anything that I ask, even if it's personal, it's going to pertain to you, not your relationship status. No, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's one thing you don't have to worry about.
I dig that. Well, there's always women who ask that. They always want to know, are you single? You can't be single. You can't be. You really can't be. What does your girlfriend think of? She doesn't. She doesn't.
Oh, my Lord. I love it.
It's hilarious, man. I'll tell you, bro. It's hilarious. Like, you get on the status and I say, hey, good morning, beautiful. Or, hey, such and such, such and such. And then, people, did your girlfriend get upset? Could you say that? And just ask me if I have. Just ask me. And then I'll tell you no. I'll tell you. But it's crazy.
It sounds crazy. But that's not even all that we have from G.P.A. I mean, our conversation ran so long, it can fill up an entire hour show. So I do promise you that at the end of this show, I will have the conclusion of that interview in our bonus feature section right next to the show when the show is done. But fellas, I haven't forgotten about you. When we return, I have a chat with the sensual poet Kottyn. So calm down. Take a minute, get something to drink, and then come back. We'll be right back with Arthur Kottyn, just for the fellas. Then later, from the KS Show, Sunsmile and Nicole. Check out an Author's Corner every 2 weeks. We will have the best from the literary world and beyond. You never know, I might show up. There are 2 ways to tune in, though. You can log on to my website at www.htcapital3.net or my YouTube channel, 1230. Let your writing fuel your spirit. Coming soon to the Author's Corner, I'm having a special Black comic book edition. We'll talk to Mama's Boy's creator, Jerry Craft. We'll follow up with Early Huff and her special guest, superhero Huff herself. Then, we'll wrap it up with Time Like Toon's very own Yul Tobert. It's the day of the comic books, coming in March, on the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. Welcome back to the Author's Corner. The last segment was for the ladies, but this one is for the fellas, because we gotta have some love too. Author and poet Kottyn is just as deep for us as G.P.A. was for the ladies. So let's take a moment and check out why Kottyn is so deep. What's your writing? What got you inspired to write? What got you writing in the first place?
I was always a quiet person growing up. I didn't talk a lot. I was the kind of household I grew up in was more of a listener. So when I would go to talk, it just seems that nobody would ever really listen to me. So I said, I couldn't trust confiding in anybody. So I would instead just started writing down how I felt because I needed to get it out. And so I would write it down, and writing turned into me writing poetry. And it just kind of went from there.
Okay. Well, my next question is, all right, can you tell me the style of poetry you write, and how long have you been writing the style of poetry?
The style of writing, I would say, is sensual. I like to leave something to the imagination, so you can perceive how I write or perform however you want. The words are probably the same if you really break them down. I may not have said anything sexual at all. sensual at all, but the way that it's written or performed comes out that way.
Okay.
So I would say that I'm more sensual. I write about love a lot. My favorite topic.
Well, when you first agreed to do the show, I went through your website. I was very nosy. I saw all your titles. Love the titles. We'll get your titles, but can you break down all your titles, including your newest title that's coming out?
Well, love letter. I'll go to Kottyn speaking with a point. Basically, that was my first book, and I would just have to say that I used the word picking cotton. Is not even my ancestors did; they had to pick cotton. However, I wanted to pull away from that aspect of it, a different light on, since I was using the title and the stage name Kottyn. I just used picking cotton, book of poetry. But that's kind of where that came from. He's beautiful to me. I just looked at men as being a lot different than what I have seen or heard about. You know, the negativity. I always look for the beautiful in a person. And since I wrote about love, I wanted to gear that towards finding the beautiful in a man. And so that's where that title is beautiful to me. Strong in my woman, of course, I wanted people to know, I wanted women and that their strength sometimes does lie behind being in a relationship with a man, because if he loves you and you love him, then that's where some of your strength comes from.
Okay.
The love letter. The love letter. I wanted to write a love letter to a man, and I picked Tyler Perry to be that man because, of course, I'm single. I love his work. I mean, he's not a poet or anything like that, but I love his work. And so I decided that in that book, it's me writing love letters, different love letters to men, but there's no specific man. The only specific man I named in the book is actually Tyler Perry's name in the book. And in Sweet Mangoes, Sweet Mangoes, I had just came from going through an ordeal where I had just passed away. I had stopped eating beef for a while, and my energy level was really, really low. So my aunt told us that my energy level was low. My body wanted to move. My mind was going, but my body said, "You're not going anywhere." So I had no energy at all. My aunt says, "Hey, Tira, you can get some mangoes. Mangoes has vitamin D in it." And I said, "Oh, I didn't know that." She said, "They'll give you the energy." So I took her advice. I grabbed some mangoes, and so then I put this mango poem. And that's how I got the title Sweet Mango. The new books that are coming out, Substance List. I decided to write a seductive book. I really hadn't done that. Like, the first book was kind of that, but not really. Not as depth and detail as this seduction book. But I wanted seduction to be woman. And I wanted you to hear what she's saying, which is the words that are coming off her lips. I mean, it could be two things. You could be thinking about her sexual lips, or you could be thinking about kissing her lips. Well, there's nothing, but for me, the reason I put it out there is put it that way because I am seduction. And these are my lips. So, what I know about me is that people are attracted. They find me attractive just from the mere sight of it. And then sometimes my demeanor picks up, and it's just my natural ability. So it's not something I'm trying to do. And when I realize, sometimes I have to not do anything just so I don't set off the wrong message to anybody who may or may not be in a relationship or something like that. So that's where that came from. Poetry Rant is a whole bunch of different feelings and emotions that woman goes through throughout her life. We're dealing with all kinds of things, but it's her emotional state that's always up and down and toyed with and played with and heartbroken and so because a lot and I will say that in Poetry Rant, it's personal. It's a lot more personal than you may think. Like most of my books aren't as personal. Like some of the things that they're not as personal. But Poetry Rant is very personal because these are the things that I was feeling personally at the time that I wrote these particular poems.
Okay. Well, I want to backtrack for a second before I go into my next question. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. You're known as a soft-spoken poet. You have that type of poetry where if I close my eyes, I don't even have to see what you look like. Your poetry just speaks to me. Um, your poetry is unique as opposed to other poets because of the fact that I feel that you're speaking directly to me, not to an audience, not to a group, but just me. And I think that's the vibe you're putting out. I could be wrong, but I'm just asking. Is that?
That is the vibe that I'm putting out because because I imagine performing certain pieces. So when I do, I want whoever, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, ever sitting in my audience, I want them to imagine that it's just me and them in the room at that moment, and I'm talking to them. But now it feels like one-on-one. And I hear people say that all the time. I just knew you were just talking to me. It was like you were just talking directly to me, like there's nobody else here. So that is correct. I put it out that way because I want you to feel, I want that comfort level to be there when I'm performing.
Well, see, that's the poetry of love right there because you making whomever you're reading to feel like they're the only person in that room. So, if that's the mark you hitting, you've already hit it. So, that's just very good there. So speaking of performing, however, when did you start? When did you start performing?
Oh my goodness. I started performing poetry. I want to say in 2009. I went 2009. I went to an open mic, and an associate of mine knew that I had books out and said, "Hey, you're here. Come on and do some poetry." I was like, "Oh no," because I'm just coming to watch, so I can see what an open mic is like. So I'm observing, and I kind of got thrown up on stage, and so then I had to. At that time, I wasn't prepared to perform, so I'm reading from one of my books, which I don't like to do. I don't like to on stage read from my books when I'm performing. So I refrained from doing that. But that's how I got into performing. Yeah.
And how many? And how long and basically so how many shows you think you've done so far? Because every time I say you're doing this, you're doing these great shows, these compilation shows. So how many do you think you've done so far?
Oh wow. Wow. I would say as far as a show, I've probably done only about maybe 20 shows in the last 3 years. But as
Wow.
far as performing, there's a lot more because you just go to the open mic and you get out there, do your thing. But when I perform, it's something to see, definitely.
Well, I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked of other poets, of your caliber. I know it generates a big fan base. And from looking at your page, you have a big fan base. How does that feel to have a group of fans or people that just love your work?
You know, when I put my first few books out, I was very amazed that my biggest fan base at the time were men. And these were men with wives. And compliments were, I appreciate this, great read. I'm letting my wife read it. She loves it. You've helped me understand some things about relationships, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, that to me said a lot. And then I looked at the inboxes from women saying, you're speaking my heart, or you're saying what I never say. And so to have that kind of support is such an honor. And sometimes even now when somebody says something, I'm still overwhelmed at somebody enjoying my work as much as they do. Because my gift is a God-given talent. I never tell you that I went to school and I got a bachelor's degree in writing, or I'm an English major, or anything like that. So you can imagine if I had taken, and that's to my daughter the other day, but can you imagine being taking a writing class or something of the sort to make our writing even better than what it would be right now? It would be over the top. It would be a lot more than what we expect. But I write from the heart. So it's very overwhelming, and I love it, and I'm so appreciative of people who let me know that they enjoy what I write.
Okay. Well, my next question is, what else do you do besides the poetry and the readings?
I am the woman of all trades. I think sometimes I do a lot of stuff. I do flyers, I do business cards, I create events. I'm starting a new business called the Art of Public Production. And I'm in real estate. I'm actually taking some courses to finish up so I can become a broker. My mom, the youngest is 14, everybody else is grown. I'm a loving daughter. I love my mom and my dad. And I do so much, sometimes I forget the things that I do. But that's basically what I do outside of that. I also have an eBay store online, so I do a lot of stuff.
Okay. Well, tell me a little more about the Art of Poor Productions.
The Art of Poor Productions, I love that title. I love the Art of Poet. And I came up with it for G.P.A. and I. But then we decided, well, we just didn't use it. But I wanted to continue to use it. So I think I do have a Twitter with that, the Art of Poet, so you can find it that way. But it's to develop other poets, help them better their work. Just for new people that are coming in saying, hey, what can I do, or how can I do it? So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, as it progresses, we'll be publishing other authors. And as I said, I want to make sure that they're good quality. So the first step of getting them in is to help them understand what it is they're going to be doing.
Okay.
And how to do it. That's what they need, the simple steps to go about publishing poetry. And as I talk about a lot on radio shows, but those are the stages of it so far, doing events and things like that. So it'll be a combination of G.P.A. media plus the Art of Poet production.
Okay. I promised GPA when I spoke to him that I'm going to put you on the spot for a second because he said you developed his website. And so, as far as that, is that like a whole media thing that's going on with that, as far as radio shows, things like that?
Um, it's, I forgot I just did this website. I actually, to be honest, I did his website, but I used this stuff as the template initially for it, but then everything else came from me. Um, so I don't know if I want to put that in with, I would have to take some classes, add that into the thing. As far as, and I do the trailer. So I can do the trailers if you need a trailer done.
Mm-hmm.
Create some flyers and book covers and things like that. But as far as the website itself, I had to use, to give credit to Vista who gave me the template, and then I just went from there.
Well, I'm going to tell you, looking at both of your sites look very professional. So, and you're welcome. And speaking of which, how can we get in contact with you? What is your web address?
My website is softspoken.com. That's SOFTSPOKENEOE.
Okay, and what can I find on the site if I log on?
If you go on there, you'll see my beautiful page. You can read some of my work, of course. You'll see a page definitely created for G.P.A. And you can find him by clicking on his information, and it'll link you over to his page. Of course, my books are on there. My schedule, the upcoming events that I have, the upcoming shows that I have, and of course, just a little bit about me. Just a little bit about Kottyn is in there as well.
Okay. And also too, you don't have to give me all of them unless you want to, but do you have any upcoming appearances or anything to promote your new project coming up?
Yes, I actually have 3 shows that I'm doing here in Sacramento, all in February, where I will be promoting my new project, Seduction Bliss, as well as I don't have any book signings yet. I haven't scheduled any yet for Seduction Bliss. And then in May I will be in Detroit, and then in June I will be in Atlanta. And still working out the kinks to get to Kansas City and Louisiana. If I'm waiting on the dates of which they want me to come to those cities to perform as well. I think in April I'm supposed to be heading to South Africa. So I'm really excited
Oh,
about that. But again, I'm waiting on others to get back to me on the date of which we are looking at the performance.
okay. Well, let me know. I'll definitely put that on the website calendar. Um, now my final question is, do you have any advice for any new upcoming poets who are trying to get to where you are now?
I would say definitely do some research. Know how you want to perform, how you want your work to be looked at. If you have a specific topic, or if you're just all around writer about everything, you have to have a basis of who you are as an individual first, so that you can give them the same passion which you have. Rather than just reading it from the book or you're performing it, you want to always give that same passion of whatever it is that you're feeling when you're doing that. Do your research on all the different publishing companies that you can get into, free ones, and then the ones that are not so free. So definitely plenty of research to get all the information that's needed before publishing a book.
I really enjoyed that interview with Kottyn. Thank you for coming on to the show, and I look forward to being on your show in April. Now, when we return, I wanted to talk to two ladies whom I had the pleasure of being on their show the other day. The two ladies from the KS Show. Stay tuned. We will be right back with those lovely ladies from the KS Show, Sunsmile and Nicole. Check out all the latest titles from HD Camera Productions before the new title is released. There is something for everyone. Have a romance, track down a killer, or stop an international incident. Check all of my titles at your favorite bookstore or at Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, or discounted at the online marketplace section at www.htcampbell3.net. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Do you need a manuscript edited? Perhaps you need a press kit or some ghostwriting done. HD Camera Productions will offer the most professional services at the best price. We also do book trailers, publicity, newsletters, and more. Check out more in the online marketplace section on my website at www.htcampbell3.net. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Welcome back to the special edition of the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. Last but definitely not least, I had the opportunity to speak with two wonderful ladies from Blog Talk Radio. Their names are Sunsmile and Nicole. In fact, I had so much fun when they did my show. I went on to do theirs the next day to network, talk, and pretty much so do what I do, cause trouble. But all in all, we had a good time. So, without further ado, let's get to Sunsmile and Nicole.
Go ahead, Nicole. Okay, I'll try to be brief. I can be long-winded. My name is Nicole, Kottyn. Before the KS Show, I was a retail store manager for Verizon Wireless. I did that for 9 years. Also have 4 years military experience. I have 2 children. They are 10 and 20. Cannot believe it. Let's see. I was born in San Diego, and I moved to the Midwest when I was around 11. Like I said, I've got 4 years military experience. I have a degree in radio broadcasting and communications. And so I worked in radio for a short time in between my Verizon career, just learning to work the board and also writing commercials and voicing them. And is that brief enough?
I mean, as brief as you want it to be, or however you want it to be. So, if you feel it's brief enough, it's fine. Huh?
So that could go on and on, but
All right. Well, Sunsmile.
Okay. Well, my real name is Tamika, and I go by Sunsmile for Facebook and for the show. Let's see, a brief description about myself. Well, I was born and raised in Illinois, and I have my degree in criminal justice administration. And before KSO, I've been working for the city that I live in for 11 and a half years, and that's involving law enforcement and fire prevention. And I produced a comedy show, which is where I met Nicole, and that was the duet comedy show, and I have no children, and that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, pretty cool. I just asked for brief history, just to see where I'm coming from before I ask you the next question. Now, my next question is, how did you two meet?
And that was good through the duet comedy crew. He was a writer and a comedian and actor for the comedy show, and I was the producer. And it was a group of maybe 10 of us total, in the pandemic, that's been 2.5, almost 3 years.
Okay. All right. Well, now, without telling me the concept of the show yet, tell me what made you two want to start a radio show together.
Well, we hit it off. And like I said, it's more like you just said, we haven't known each other for 3 years, but we just vibed. I think initially we thought I was a little bit off. But I was correct. And so the more we got to know each other, we really liked each other, and we liked what each of us had to offer individually. We're both writers. We both have books that we've written, poetry books. We're both very much into reading, although we do different things. We're both avid readers. We like to keep up with entertainment, even though it's a different entertainment. We have our similarities are just as similar as they are different. We have the same interests, but they're also very different in the same category, if that makes any sense at all. And so we complement each other, and I think that's the reason that we actually became friends and decided to work together, is that we have the same vision, but we have our different ideas and different minds, and it works out together. And it wasn't one of those things that we were just like, we need to do a show. And it wasn't one of those. It was like she was talking about a conversation with one of her other friends and how they wanted to start a show. And I was like, you know what? I thought this blog something a long time ago. I never did a show, but I got in the crowd, let me show you. And so I showed her, and she was like, you know what? This is a great idea. It actually took us 6 months. It started because we were like life got in the way. We had vacations, we had 2 children, and I had work and I had other projects that I was doing, and then finally she was like, look, when we come back to vacation, and if you don't want to do this, I will start the show on my own. And I was like, okay. So yeah. So I was like, I got to do my family mode too. So yeah, so that's
Oh my God. And that's how the KS Show started, I gather. So I love it. So I guess now you can tell me what the concept of the show is.
Okay, yes. So the concept of the show is like I said, real talk, real conversation with real people. And it's about all the different things that go on in just everyday lives. Things that hit our communities, the things that hit, especially the African American community, things that need to be addressed that not addressed. So when we talk about stuff, a lot of it is about our experiences, and some of it is about things that we don't know. So when we have some topics, I would say at least 90% of it, we research it before we do the show, because we're ignorant to that also. Ignorant to the facts. We have our opinions about things, but we don't know the facts. So we definitely do our research on it. But we also have a relationship segment, which who doesn't know about relationships in your own way, shape, or form?
Right.
So, yeah, so we do that also. But like you said, which was said earlier, it's just a combination of both our ideas of how we look at things, and then we always ask guests to come in and talk with us about the subject, and because our opinion is not the world's opinion, so we like to hear everybody else. So that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are the top 3? What are your 3 biggest hot topics that resonate through your show often?
Relationship segment, definitely. Yeah, people love telling their business and their stories. And, it's usually, men versus women and how different, we think and how different we are, and I embrace that. So relationship is definitely popular, but we've had other very successful shows. People love music, so we had a very successful hip-hop show. Some of our early shows addressed things that are not normally in Black media, like African American purchasing power, sex education, suicide, HIV, yeah, definitely those hot topics that people don't like talking about.
Okay, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I'm gonna stop for a second because
Okay.
I'm looking at the chemistry between you two. There's a chemistry there. So I want to take a moment here and I want to play a game with you if that's okay. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
Nicole, I want you to start. I want you to start. You're going. I'm picking on you first. I want
Okay.
I want you each to say something about the other which makes you love doing the show with them.
Okay. I'll go first. Sugar is very consistent in her mood, which is ideal and rare in a woman.
Okay.
I mean that.
Okay. Next.
Because I have an app for my mood.
You okay
I'm
with
sorry. Okay, so for my, I would say it was for Nicole is just that she's different every week. And she doesn't have a problem with telling me that's not going to work. I don't think you should do that. Because who wants to always have someone agree with them?
Absolutely. Well, one thing that I'm getting from you, one is consistency, one is honesty. If you can't work together, then you can't do a good show. And I'm a latecomer listening to the show, but I love the chemistry you two have on your show. So and I'm loving you guys. So I mean, this is all good. So I'm loving it. I knew you guys could find something like real quick, about each other. So that would so that is that right? So how can people find your show? Where would I find your show?
Everywhere. You can find us everywhere. We recently just launched our website at www.thekshow.com. You can find us on Facebook at the KS Show. Just that fan page. That's the fan page, the KS Show. And you can email us also at the KS Radio at gmail.com. And and the KS Show Radio Twitter.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so our website is very interactive. So if people just want to go to our website, again, www.theksshow.com, there's an interactive comment bar right in the middle of the page. So if you're listening to the show, www.blogtalkradio.com/the KS Show is where you can hear the show. After you hear the show, you can also go to the page after the show has been aired and listen to the recording. And again, it's an interactive comment bar there where you can tell us if you like the show, if you have any questions, anything like that. So.
Okay, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. And I'm also going to link it through my website as well. So they can find your show through my website. My next question is kind of easy but hard at the same time. And I'm going to pick on you first, Sunsmile. Nicole, you can go after. What do you guys like to do when you're not doing the radio show? What is your favorite thing that you love to do?
Oh, please.
Oh, and I'm talking about outside of work, period.
Yes, please. Seriously, I like to read. I am one of those people that like me time, and the coach can tell you, when I want my me time, I don't want to do anything. So my me time consists of reading, writing, definitely spending time with my family, my mother and my father, my cousins, and just being, I just love just being me. Nothing else. No show, no work, nothing.
I understand. Okay. All right, Nicole?
I'm also an avid reader. I read a lot, and so that is one of my favorite pastimes. I Other than music would have to come first. So Queen's music fans, mostly underground hip hop and 90s hip hop is what I listen to probably 97% of the time. A lot of reading, and also a lot of hair.
Okay.
I do a lot of hair, but I specialize in all natural products and healthy hair, and not just use in terms and relaxing. I really get into the chemistry and the makeup of hair and what makes our hair grow and not grow and all that good stuff. So those are my passions: reading, music, and hair. Yeah, I'm a music lover myself, so I listen to everything, though. I think we talked about that before. Facebook, like, I just like all types of different music, and I get funny looks from even Nicole sometimes. So it's stupid. I listen to nobody.
You know, right. Because see, we just had this conversation the other day, so it's like.
Yes, we did. So yeah, I just love all types of music. But if I'm like in one of those moods where I just want to be me, I just turn off some gas and I'll just listen to gas. And I'm sort of like, if I'm not in love, I usually don't do R&B. Nobody got time for that. I keep it gangster. Oh, wow.
Well,
now when I get more fuzzy, I might turn off the Neo or something, and then after that, it looks too squishy on the inside. And I think, oh, God, I love it.
I truly understand. Trust me. Personally, I really do. Because my music has a lot to do with my moods as well. So, oh yes, there you go.
It's the music for all emotions.
Oh yes. So, well, I guess my next question now is, where do you guys see the show in 5 years?
Successful.
Okay.
Definitely. We gotta claim it. And we gotta keep playing on it. In 5 years, we want to not just be on the radio, but on TV. For people to see us face to face. And yet to relate to us, not just our voices, but also see that we're just two women who started from the bottom of this and working our way up to the top. And, just, we gotta claim it. And we gotta put God first in it.
Okay. Now, also, do you have anything planned for this year? Any new things coming up? Any special shows coming up? Anything you got planned for this year?
Well, we're definitely looking into the fashion part of the social media. We've been seeing just a plethora of just different outfits. Those are so hot. So what we want to do is we want to make it unique and have different fashion, men's fashion, children's fashion, just things that are normally out there. We want to make sure that we stay relevant, but also bring some uniqueness to where we definitely want to do more music segments and, maybe get into some music that's not necessarily always good on the radio, but just things that we like and just things that other people can really get into. I'm also having like natural hair, skin regimens and things like that for just health care and making sure we have our health segment. We definitely want to do that because we want to get more people interactive on our page, whether it's on our website or it's on our Facebook page, because when we have this show, we think that our radio show, we get more listeners. And when they hear that going on, they can go to our page and be like, they were just talking about this, and so they don't have that resource. They won't just have to keep listening to the show and say, what's this here again? They can go to our page and be like, this is exactly what they were talking about the other night. And if it doesn't help them out, it helps somebody else out. So we're just trying to pay it forward.
Well, I don't know if you two noticed or not, but I think you already do. But your show does provide a very big service, a very good service. And you see from what you said, what you see in the future of 5 years, or this year, it's going to be great success because you're providing topics not a lot of people are providing out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I say, keep doing what you're doing. My next question, before I get into it, though, I'm gonna ask you guys having the advice or final words. But can I offer a suggestion for you two, if you don't mind, on my own?
Sure.
You guys are very talented. You guys are best friends. You guys are so wonderful. If I look, I'm gonna. I just put it like this. If I ever wanted two girlfriends, you two will be it at the same time. That's all I'm saying.
That's a whole lot of woman.
but
I don't know. Can you answer that? Can you answer that?
but whatever it is you guys are doing, please keep doing it, okay? Whatever it is.
Okay. Will do.
Because I'm loving you guys. So I guess to bring me to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's all good. It's all good. So my final question is: do you guys have any advice or final words for anyone who's either trying to get to where you guys are, or who's trying, or any advice for anybody who watches your show?
I can start that one off. I would say make sure that whoever you decide to go into business with, make sure everyone has the same agenda. Make sure that you lay ground rules as to how you're going to run your show. Do pre-work, try to do as much work as in endurance. Make sure you always stay positive with one another and address issues right away so that they don't become something else. And I think the main thing is, I think the reason Snoopy and I work so well now is because we really do have the same agenda and the same focus. And we really want each other as well as the show to be successful. And you have to have people on your team who are not just out for self, but also actually care about you as an individual.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You have to be on the same page. That doesn't mean that we always agree. It just means that at the end of the day, when it comes to our show, when it comes to us, that we agree that everything is going to go as planned. And I would say always have each other back because at the end of the day, it's about having each other back, you know. And we were going to hit bumps in the road because of life. We both have lives, and life is what it is. So always be prepared. No matter what it is, just be prepared for things to happen. And we will know things happen. So be prepared for that, and don't expect fast success because it's not a fast. It's, I would say, success in career is not a fast paced career. It's something that you have to take step by step because you just may miss something.
Okay. Now give me the time for your show.
We are on every Wednesday, Central Standard Time at 7:30.
Okay. And how long is it?
It ranges from an hour and a half to 2 hours.
That was a wonderful interview, as all the interviews in our show. Before I go, I want to say that even though Valentine's Day was Thursday, I'm sure many of you will be celebrating this weekend. Let's embrace those we love. Let's not stop it with just one day. Love all day, love all night, every day, love every night, love. Also, stay right here for updates with my books, client updates, tours, and check out my literary calendar. It's always changing. Well, that's it for the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. Peace and love. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. God bless.